Hey, if you heard somebody say chicken booty, that was my son. He tried to audio bomb my video. I don't think you heard that though. Hey Tech, say hi to all my students again. She loves me. She like sits with me all the time when I'm recording. My other one is on the floor behind me laying down, waiting to go outside. She's waiting to go outside and go for a walk. But we have to wait till this evening, so. All right, so how's it going? Part 3, this may actually be 4 parts. If so, then next week, all you will have to do next week will be exactly what you did this week. Watch part 3 and part 4, and that's it. Because I was looking, and there are we're on slide 23 of 46. I told you man, I wish we were there in the classroom. It's so important for you to go back and watch those video links that I'm posting that are embedded in the PowerPoint, okay? So the last thing we were talking about is we were talking about Reagan, and we were talking about his Reaganomics. Situations are going to start improving between Ronald Reagan, and Gorbachev, the new leader of the Soviet Union. So in December of '87, the two leaders are going to sign an Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, or INF. Gorbachev went forward with economic and political reforms. This led to finally we're here, the collapse of the Soviet Union. Soviet Union is going to collapse in '91. Hopefully you went and watched, well, no, it's actually coming up. But you watched the speech on Reagan, the video clip that said, "Tear down this wall." Now, the next clip we're going to watch is the actual wall coming down. In the United States, our economy, we were doing really well. Our military was strong. Remember, we were building up our military to try to get the Soviet Union to do the same so that their economy would collapse because they were already in a dire situation. But our relations with the Soviet Union, with the new leader, started to improve dramatically. And Reagan's second term is going to come to an end. I want you to pause this video. I want you to go back in to Schoology under New National Direction, under Resurgence of Conservatism, and watch the Tearing Down the Wall video. I had another one in there that I've shown to the last couple of years' classes. It was about 6 minutes long, and I would just show like the first 4 or 5 minutes of it, if that much. But it's not available anymore. However, this is a different video, and it's Tearing Down the Wall. It's basically the same thing, only it's condensed. It's not even a minute and a half, I think, maybe a minute and a half. It's under 2 minutes. So pause the video, go watch this, and then come back. I know you didn't pause the video and go watch it. Did you? Well, some of you did. Some of you did, but it's interesting. You can see the people, they're all like partying, and it was a big celebration because we're tearing down this stupid, idiotic wall. No more wall. After all these years, no more wall. Yeah. Here's the fun part of this whole chapter. We're going to talk about what life was like in the 1980s. Whoop, whoop. So by '83, stagflation largely ended. Stock prices started going up. Companies are going to report a lot of profits. Things are improving. A lot of new money makers, young, ambitious, hardworking people. We call these people yuppies, which is kind of a nickname for young urban professionals. See? Young urban professionals, yuppies. This was the group that's going to benefit the most during this whole period. Private sector is going to grow in the '80s. We're going to have a lot of economic opportunities for the citizens of our country, especially for those involved in the media. Think about artists, in finance, and in all kinds of new digital fields, okay? You guys have technology at your fingertips. Thank goodness. We would not be able to do online school, and I know some of you don't like doing online school. Big secret. I don't like online classes either. However, this is where we are today. It's going to change. We're going to get through it, okay? We're going to have a lot of jobs that are going to benefit mostly the middle and upper class people. Now, this is going to be important, okay? We're going to talk about that. But let's talk about what's going on in retail. Booming real estate, stock markets, economy is going to see something that we haven't seen. Retail business, their sales with the growth of discount retailing. We're going to see places like Walmart and Best Buy and Home Depot, all those big giant box stores, they're going to be established. Until the late 1970s, television viewers were only limited to 3 national networks, local stations and public television network. You guys know that I grew up in Los Angeles, and no cable, without cable or anything like that, or satellite, or we didn't have all that. There wasn't that at the time. I remember when cable first became available in LA, but before that, our broadcast channels were here. You get 3, maybe 4 broadcast channels. We had like the whole. Okay, I gotta draw this for you, because I usually draw this for everybody on my board in the classroom, and since we're not in the classroom, I will just show you right here. Okay, so hopefully you can see this. So, back in the olden days, as maybe some of you will say, this is what TVs looked like, okay? So you had, that's pretty close. Okay, so you had, here's your screen, okay? And then you had 2 different channels. You had VHF, and then you had, oops, F, not S. Then you had UHF, okay? And on your VHF were your regular channels. You had 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way blah, 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 to like 13, okay? If you wanted to watch something on UHF, you would turn it to up here after the last channel, mark it, and then you go down. It's like opening another folder within a folder, okay? Then you have your UHF channels, which are your digit numbers. We had all of these channels and a few in UHF. Or maybe I have that backwards. Maybe it's UHF and VHF. Anyway, you get the point. We had a lot of channels growing up where I grew up in Los Angeles. Most cities didn't have that many. Big cities did. Like I said here, I think there's, actually I said 3 or 4, maybe there's 5 or 6 if you count some other ones, but at that time, that's how many channels you had, okay? All right, so think about this. And some of those channels I had in my, my top channel base were channels like KTLA, KTTV, you might have heard of those if you've got satellite, okay? So, just keep that in mind, okay? Keep that in mind. In 1970, there's going to be a guy, his name is Ted Turner. He bought this television station in Atlanta, Georgia, and he's going to create a new type of broadcasting, and this is going to set the world on fire, okay? His station is called TBS. Does that sound familiar? WTBS? Let's take out the W. If you have cable or satellite, you have a channel called TBS, correct? Yes. Turner Broadcast System. That's what TBS stands for. The man's name is Ted Turner, okay? He bought this failing TV station in Atlanta, Georgia. He's going to create this new type of broadcasting. In '75, the very first superstation that sold low-cost sports entertainment programs via satellite to cable companies across the United States, and other stations soon after that are going to do the same thing. If you've ever wondered why during baseball season, when we really have baseball on, at given times, especially at one time, there was nothing but Atlanta Braves baseball on that channel. That's why, because it was an Atlanta, Georgia company. See there? Now you know. A lot of people don't realize that. I'm trying to, trying to go to my next slide there, and it wasn't working. So that is why it's called Turner, TBS, Turner Broadcasting System. Now, he also owned some other stations. TNT, you've heard of that? Turner Network Television. What are some other ones? Sam?
WGN Chicago?
Well, I'm talking about Atlanta.
Turner?
Yeah, Atlanta stuff.
Turner Classic Movies.
Turner Classic Movies. That's where the Turner comes in for Turner Classic Movies. Okay, so yeah, he's a guy with a lot of money. Lots of money, okay? So that's where that comes from. Another example of that, as my husband just pointed out to me, WGN out of Chicago. There's a lot of, it was originally a local station, which became a cable network station. Yeah, so all of this is going to happen in the 70s and 80s, mostly 80s. In the 80s, we're going to get a new sound in the world of music. We're going to get rap music. When we finish Modern America, one of the lessons we're going to talk about is the history of hip-hop. And I promised you guys, I said we were going to do that after the STAR test. We're still going to do it because it's interesting and I like doing that kind of stuff. So this is going to basically start in the local clubs in New York City's South Bronx. And there's a great book, and I have it, gosh, I can't remember the name of it yet now, but it's at work. When we talk about the history of hip-hop more in detail, I'll point out that book to you. But it's almost like you really get into the details of exactly how hip-hop began. So there's another video link. I want you to pause this video link. I want you to watch this video link and then come back and I'll do some more and then we'll carry on. Yeah, there will be a part 4 because I don't want to make these videos too long for you. So pause the video. Go watch this video link. It's under New National Direction, under Resurgence of Conservatism. It's a link. It looks like a little, like a little link, chain link, and just click on that and watch the video and then come back. All right, so hopefully you really did go watch that video and pause this. I know there's some of you that aren't doing that. I promise they're not bet songs, I promise. Okay. Another thing we get, people are now able to carry their music around with them. Oh yeah, well, the old boombox on the shoulder, yeah, I had one of those. But Sony Walkman is going to allow people to carry around their own music on portable compact discs. Yes, discs. Before that, they're going to carry around their music on cassettes. That's where we get the mixtape from, the mixtape name. So that's where that comes from. The disc players are actually going to replace the Walkman in the early 2000s, but so in the 80s and 90s, we're going to have those Walkmans, which are the cassette players. And in the early 2000s, like I said, we're going to get the digital audio players. We're going to get iPods, we're going to get MP3s, and this is all going to help advance technology even further. VCRs, or video cassette recorders. This is going to allow people to tape TV shows and watch taped films. Oh my gosh! That was never done before. You could never do that before. The problem with watching a show, if you recorded a show and you wanted to fast forward through the commercials, it took forever to get through the commercials, right? If you went to places like Blockbuster or Hastings or whatever to rent videos, back when people used to rent videos, there was always these stickers on them that said, "Be kind, rewind." You had to rewind or they'd charge you a fee for not rewinding it. So you had to rewind it when you were done playing it. You couldn't just click stop like you can now on the device that you're watching movies on today. But this is going to allow people to tape TV. They can watch these shows whenever they want. And by the early 2000s, we're going to get digital video disc recorders. And these are going to really replace VCRs. And let me take my picture away here. So that's, if you've ever seen these are video cassettes. I have a whole cabinet full of these things, but I don't have a VCR. And I need to, I've got some home movies that my dad put on one of these for me and sent it to me when I was little. And I need to go get that put on DVD or digital or something like that one of these days. So those things are. Technology, continuing with technology. New technology is really going to help American culture go out to the rest of the world, diffuse to the rest of the world. We talked about the diffusion of sports, diffusion of baseball in Japan. Now we're going to diffuse culture. This is going to set the world on fire. This is going to make people in other countries realize, oh my gosh, look at all this stuff that there is because of this new technology. I've got a lot of books too, if you're interested, if we ever get back into the classroom, books on the hip hop spreading to places like Japan and Jamaica and all kinds of different countries and what it's like in those countries if you ever want to come by and borrow them next year. In the 80s, Hollywood movies are going to make more money overseas because of this diffusion than they make in the United States. More people are going to watch movies made in the United States that live in other countries than here at home. Video games, another form of entertainment, early video games. We got this from military computer technology. I've seen that as a question on the star, but you don't have to worry about that this year. Yay! So the first video arcade game is going to be a game called Pong. You might have heard of this. It's released in '72. The early 80s sales reach about $3 billion. And then we're going to get Pac-Man. We're going to get the Space Invaders. We're going to get GPS systems or global positioning systems. And it's going to improve the quality of our life today. How many of you use GPS? How many of you, what would you do if you did not have GPS? You'd actually, oh my goodness, we'd have to memorize where things were and how to get there. Even I don't do that anymore, right? This is composed of a lot of series of satellites in low Earth orbit. It's going to allow people to determine their location, navigate, and get there accurately. So some examples, that's a picture of Pong. Then we have Space Invaders, big stand-up games. It was common to have arcades. Actually, one of my first jobs, at the same time when I worked in radio in Pecos, I would work during the day, during the morning at this video cassette renting place that also housed a big room with video games like Space Invaders and Pac-Man, and my favorite was Burger Time. And then I walk next door and go to the radio station and go to work. And of course, Pac-Man, we've all seen this. Yeah, it was a big thing. I guess it still is today. We're going to see a lot of new social activism. Drug abuse in the 80s is going to make a lot of city neighborhoods dangerous. A lot of people are going to commit crimes so they can get their money for drugs. A lot of schools start searching student bags and lockers for drugs. We've talked about this before. Can a school search a locker? Yes, because it's not the student's property. Can a school search their bag? Well, in 1985, Supreme Court case, New Jersey versus TLO, they're going to uphold the right, the school's right to search without a warrant if there was probable cause. One teen had basically been arrested for selling drugs. That teen challenged because they searched her purse, but the court said, no, the school can do that because there was probable cause. That's the key word there. Mothers Against Drunk Driving is founded. In '84, Congress is going to cut highway funds to any state that did not raise the legal age to 21. Now, when we talked about the 18th and the 21st Amendment, and I told you guys how I always remember, is because when I was 18, the legal age to drink was 18, and when I became 21, that's when they rose it to 21, right? Have you ever wondered why New Mexico's roads are so crummy? Maybe that's why. They didn't raise the age to 21. Therefore, they didn't get those highway funds to any of their sent to their state for their highways. They didn't get that money. So yeah, maybe that's why. Think about it. Louisiana, same thing. In '81, researchers identified a deadly disease. We've all heard about this, and it's more in the past, and we don't really today. It's not like. Let me put this into perspective. We all think about COVID-19 now, okay? It's part of our daily life. Now, AIDS wasn't that way because you couldn't get it unless you had intimate contact or some kind of blood-to-blood contact with a person. That was the only way you could get it. You couldn't get it from a toilet seat. You couldn't get it from standing next to each other. You couldn't get it if somebody sneezed on you. Now, if you had a big cut on your arm that was open and somebody sneezed into your cut, yeah, you could probably get it. But other than that, you couldn't really get it. So we didn't really have those kind of lockdown things like we have today. But it was still a deadly disease, and a lot of people were concerned about it. It's basically acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, or AIDS. Immunodeficiency, sorry, I kind of said that really fast. It was first noted among homosexual men, and then soon it spread to heterosexual men and women. Between 81 and 88, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention identified more than 100,000 cases in the United States. Now put in perspective with the COVID-19, we've identified a lot more cases, obviously, than in this period that was, 7-year period, just in these few months. So that kind of tells you a little bit. This is going to be the last slide that I'm going to cover in this presentation, and I can't get it to change. There we go. Okay, so there's a couple of videos I want you to watch. Not all 3 of these are on Schoology, just a couple of them are. There is an early report that CBS does on AIDS, and then there's a report about a boy in the 1980s who had AIDS and actually got the disease from a blood transfusion. He had to have blood transfusions, and this kind of shows you what people were like towards people that had AIDS. They were very not understanding. They were very, I'm going to say ignorant, because they didn't take the time to really learn how to understand the disease. Instead, they just assumed and just decided to be very prejudiced against people with AIDS. So I want you to watch these 2 videos, and there's going to be another part to this. This is going to be part 4, and part 4 will probably finish out this chapter. It's a long chapter because there's a lot of stuff I like to talk about. So questions, email me, message me, please turn something in each week. If I hear from you, you're okay. See you guys later.